What's going on, guys? Bob Roche from RocheTechnology.com here with a video for you all about iOS. Now, if you look in the title of this video, at the end of it there is a question mark. That's because I'm asking you guys a question. And the question is, once again, which you could probably tell from the title, is what do you guys want to see in iOS 7? Now, as I'm sure you guys are very well aware of by now, iOS 6 did come out alongside the iPhone 5, which I do have right here, and if you're like me, a lot of people have been saying that the phone itself is amazing. The build quality is amazing, it's very light, it's very thin, it's overall just a very well built device. The hardware is just absolutely great. But the OS that it runs, while it is very functional and I do enjoy using it, it could definitely use an upgrade. So this video is just going to name the few basic things that I want to see in iOS 7, and honestly things that I think Apple really does need to implement if they want to stay on top in the mobile world. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I really want to see in iOS 7 is some kind of widgets for the lock screen. Now, I don't really think we need to have widgets on the main home screen. For example, you know, the screen where we do have all of our icons here. I don't think that we need widgets here. I think that's Android's own thing. Some people like that. Personally, I like just seeing just my apps and that's it. But I mean widgets on the lock screen so that, you know, when I go ahead and turn my phone on, I can see the time. But I can also customize what I see down here. Maybe I want to have weather, or, you know, right now we do have like notification center where if you get a new email or if you get, you know, a new message, it will be there. But if you want to see more information at a glance, I really would like to be able to customize that a lot more. This also includes functionality buttons. Maybe if I just want to go ahead and turn on Wi-Fi, all I have to do is hit my home button and then hit Wi-Fi on or Bluetooth on or whatever the case is. I really would like to have those kind of functionalities be able to be accessed right on the lock screen without having to unlock the phone, go into settings, and then find the respective setting. A lot of things can really be done that I think would be very convenient, and they could all be done from the lock screen. The next one I have is kind of a big one, and that's being able to assign default applications throughout the OS. So let's say, for example, I have Siri open and I say, you know, Siri, tweet having a great day. I want to maybe open up Tweetbot and then start that, you know, tweet right there in a draft or, you know, whatever have you. Rather than just using the built-in Twitter functionalities, I want to be able to go into, you know, say settings and go to Twitter and being able to select a default application so that whenever I tell Siri to tweet something or tell me to navigate here, I can maybe have it open up Waze or some other map app rather than the one that's built in, because it is still pretty darn buggy. This could also be useful with links in web browsers. Say, for example, you get an email and you're just browsing along and you come to a link and you want to open it, but you use Chrome on your desktop and you use Chrome on your mobile devices, so that way you have, you know, the tabs syncing and everything like that. Through Safari, I mean, it can work, but some people just rather use Chrome. If you want to use Chrome, you should be able to click that link in your email, and rather just open up Safari, I should be able to specify in my settings that my default web browser is Chrome or Opera or whatever browser it is, and then that way it'll open up Chrome instead of Safari, and then from there your tab syncing will work much better. The next thing I want to see in iOS 7 is a bigger and much more functional notification center. And really here I'm talking about mainly the iPad. The iPhone could definitely use some work as well, but in terms of the iPad, here I have, you know, that iPad's great display, very nice display, very big display. And if I slide down from notification center here, that's all I get. It doesn't really fill out the screen here. Now it will go ahead and go this way, but in which case, you know, there's even more space on the sides here that's not filled in. I apologize for that glare, by the way. But I really do think that Apple, especially when it's in the landscape orientation, I really think that they could just have tons more information there and have it be more customizable. So I think maybe, for example, if I go ahead and, you know, put this sideways, I should be able to slide down and the whole screen will be notification center, and I can have a nice big weather widget over here. I can actually customize, maybe I want to have my email dedicated to this side of the screen. So I can just see many different things that way, and it will look much more visually appealing. Another thing I hate are those little check boxes where, I mean, it's not really a checkbox, but it's a little X to close things. On this big screen, they're really going to give you like a little X that's literally like that big. And it's just a pain to push. I mean, it's rare that you'll ever get that right on the first time. So I do think that Apple needs to take advantage of the bigger display much more. And, you know, their apps are great, but there's little things like that. Even like the send button in messages, the thing is tiny, and on a big screen, they have the space to make that a little bit bigger. So in terms of the notification center, those are the main tweaks that I'd want to see. I'd also like to have maybe like, really have a tap to tweet, things like that. I'd like to have those tap to turn off Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and have those be fully customizable, where if I don't want them there, then I can just remove them. But if I do want them there, it's as simple as, you know, sliding down from notification center and hitting that button. Now the biggest thing I want in iOS 7 is multitasking. Now there is some multitasking on here, so I'll go ahead and pull the iPad up here. 4 fingers up, you know, there's all my applications that are open. Now these aren't actually, you know, open. I mean, they're open in memory, but they're not active right now. It's just sort of saved a screenshot and it will resume when you click it. I really would like that to be completely gone in iOS 7. But for me, the problem goes much deeper than that. I could be in Safari and I can have, a YouTube video playing, or just, a video from Vimeo or whatever have you, and as soon as I switch to another tab, the video in that tab stops playing. It just stops playing altogether until I go back to that tab and hit play. I just think that's ridiculous because that's not how it is on the desktop. If I'm watching YouTube in one tab, I could be reading a blog post or whatever in the other app, and I'll at least still hear the audio from that video that's going. I believe the iPad has enough memory, has enough, just resources in general. It really doesn't make sense to me that Apple just kind of stops your video from playing in one tab just because you switch to another tab. Because like I said, that's not how it is on the desktop. Now, applications also tend to stop when I actually bring up the multitasking bar. So as you see right here, I do have a YouTube video playing. I'll actually full screen that to make that a little easier for you guys to see. Try to get that glare out of there. Now, as soon as I do a 4-finger swipe up, as you can see right now, the video just stops playing. And I really don't understand why it's like that, because I can still see the video. It's still on the screen. So just because I'm trying to access another part of the OS does not mean that that video should stop playing. And that's a frequent annoyance that I have when using an iPad, is that, if I'm watching a YouTube video or just whatever have you, and I go to, try to switch to something else, that audio just stops playing. Really, that drives me nuts. Now the good news is that I think Apple is already starting to work on this, or maybe that's there and developers just aren't taking advantage of it. Because if you go ahead and download the podcast app, as you can see, I have Tech News Today playing right here. Go ahead and hit play. It's playing, but if I bring up the multitasking menu, the video continues to play. Same thing with Notification Center. If I slide down on Notification Center up here, let's see if I can actually do this right. But the video does not stop playing in the back. They're just on the web page right now, but the video is in fact still playing. And that's how it should be across every single application, across the entire operating system, because that's how I want it to be done. If I want to go ahead and open up another app or just bring up the multitasking panel just to see what's running, that video should not stop playing. But even with the podcast app, and this is for every app out there, or at least like 98% of them, even though the video is playing, when I go back to the home screen, the audio doesn't continue playing. It does stop completely. But now if I wanted to, from here, I can go ahead and bring up the multitasking panel and then come down here and actually hit play, and then the audio will resume. But I just think that's an extra step that really doesn't have to be there, and definitely something I think Apple can fix. And the biggest thing that I've wanted for a long time with multitasking is to be able to have 2 apps on the display at once. So for example, I want to be able to turn my iPad into landscape, and I want to be able to have Twitter on this side, and I want to be able to have Safari on the other side. That's something that I really do like about the Windows tablets, is that you can do that. You take advantage of that snap feature. That's a great idea. Now, I think that Apple could find a different way to sort of incorporate that. Maybe not necessarily take up, the full dimension of the screen, while that is the most, I guess, screen friendly. But if I just want to have, a little window, just a little square window that I can pinch and manipulate with my fingers and move it around, I think that's something that Apple really could do. They have the resources and, the people behind the engineering that can really do that. I think that would just be the best possible software upgrade they have to the iPad. So those are the main things I'd like to see in iOS 7, just the better multitasking, adding and enhancing to Notification Center, just those sorts of things that I think Apple really should have done from day one, but iOS 7 is going to be the time that they have to do it, because in my opinion, all those Android tablets, they really have caught up to where the iPad is. They have a lot of the functionality, and in some cases more functionality, and that's what people want, with iOS. It is a very, very rock-solid foundation. I wouldn't necessarily trust all my information and all my content on an Android tablet, because, you install something bad from the store, and there goes everything, and then you have to go reinstall, and that's the main reason I don't like Android. It's just not as stable. It's easier to mess up than it is on an iPad. Now, I'm kind of a tech nerd. I know what I'm doing, but that stuff always happens when you least expect it to. But regardless, I think that Apple does need to make these upgrades in order to, like I said in the beginning of the video, just stay on top in terms of the mobile market. So what do you guys think? What would you like to see in iOS 7? Be sure to let me know down below. I'm at CPUKid on Twitter. Also be sure to check out RocheTechnology.com and at RocheTechnology on Twitter. And I'll see you guys in my next video.